Hey, successful fam. We know that everyone deserves a place to be successful. That's why all day, May 4th and May 5th, we are hosting our Successful Summit 2026 in Asheville, North Carolina. During the summit, you will experience panelists, keynote speakers, as well as interactive workshops led by yours truly, as well as other brilliant queer entrepreneurs across the country. If you'd like to learn more about our summit, you can find out more on queerandsuccessful.com, and we hope to see you there. Enjoy today's episode. Far too often, LGBTQ plus business owners believe they have to choose between authenticity and being successful. Through these real life stories, LGBTQ plus listeners aspiring for success can gain valuable insights to navigate their path to being both queer and successful. Hello, everyone. It is me, Hunter J. McNair, your hostess with the mostest, back again for this week's episode of Queer and Successful. Now, this week, I am diving into the rooms that changed my life and why you need to be in one. So, to start this conversation, I just want to say that, we can learn a lot from the internet. We can learn a lot from YouTube or TikTok or all these different types of avenues. Audiobooks, listen, I am guilty of loving me a good audiobook. But I will tell you, the biggest and most influential moments of my life have come from not the things that I've read or watched on the little phone in our hands, but they have been from the connections that I have built along the way, from meeting new people everywhere I go. So I can trace almost every single monumental moment in my life to those moments. And listen, I understand the things that may keep us from attending these in-person events, right? One, money. And, I've been there. When I started doing business 11 years ago, I didn't run out the gate, obviously, going to different events because money is real, right? A single flight out to a conference or attending something can cost you easily these days well over $1,000. And when you're pinching pennies, it can be quite difficult to make something like that work. But here's the real question. When you're looking at where you're going to be in the next 5 years, the real question becomes, can you afford not to attend? And let me explain that. So I want to take you back to when I was attending my first major conference as a business owner. And it was actually Keller Williams Mega Camp back in, oh my gosh, I can't remember the year now, but it was during the Hurricane Harvey event that happened in Texas. And if you know anything about what happened during that Keller Williams event, what ended up happening was the hurricane actually made them pivot the entire event to a relief event. And during that event, I was actually able to have a much more intimate relationship with people because we weren't just sitting in a room talking to people. We were actually sitting together and prepping care packages and things like that to help hurricane victims that had been affected by Hurricane Harvey. And leading up to that event, I actually hosted my first fundraiser called Hunt for Relief, where I actually raised, I think, almost $8,000 to Hurricane Harvey victims. And I put that in conjunction with that event. And so, as another point, you can utilize and leverage these attended events in more ways than just physically attending. So, for me, I leveraged it through charity, but post event, I also leveraged it through different types of systems I put in place to keep up with people. If I had never done that, if I had never stepped into the room, then I never would have met the core people who would one day be a part of my very first mastermind that I ever facilitated in Austin, Texas. We were actually meeting for, well, really, I said intentionally, hey, I want to meet somewhere not loud. I want to not meet at a club or a bar. I want to meet somewhere intimate that we can actually have a conversation. And we ended up meeting at a restaurant, and it was 13 of us. We all sat down and we collectively masterminded together. And that grew into something much bigger over the years. And as I mentioned in my last episode, going to an event that I never intended to go to is what led me to pursuing training outside of the Keller Williams Rainbow Network and pursuing keynote speaking and pursuing bigger things. And it was all not from just the event, but from the people that I was able to meet there. Here's the truth, y'all. Knowledge comes from proximity to people. And if you've learned anything from my authentically successful course or my social, I should say my success prism framework that comes in that, you'll learn that I've distinguished that there are four key aspects of business. And those four key aspects of business are actually the exact same aspects that we're going to be incorporating at Successful Summit in Asheville. Those four aspects are social presence, mindset, people and systems, and wealth and financials. Now, what if I told you that I intentionally have one person who I know is better than me at each of those four categories? Part of what we're going to be doing at Successful Summit is putting you in front of people who have chosen to focus on one of those four categories so that you can find people and network with people who are learning things that you want to also learn on and get better at. And so at Summit, I'm going to be sitting you with people who are wanting to grow their mindset. I'm going to be sitting you with people who want to grow their wealth and financials, their idea and their money mindset, I guess you could say, around that. There's so much opportunity to be had at an event like that where you can actually meet people who want to be in the same place that you are going. And so while many times we might say you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems, I would say you also don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the lack of rooms that you may be putting yourself in. You cannot open yourself up to opportunity if you are not giving space for opportunity to come to you. And y'all, like attending events and conferences for me doesn't just really date from that first Hurricane Harvey event. It actually dates all the way back to when I took Bold as a new Keller Williams agent. Now, if you don't know what Bold is, it is, or was, I think it's only 6 weeks now, but it's a 7-week training program where for 7 weeks, you sit in a room of nearly 100 people at tables of 10. And every single week you learn something. You obviously go out and try to get new business and things like that. Well, as a brand new agent back in 2015, the cost of that event was actually $800. Now, $800 is not a small amount of money when you are starting a brand new business with not much to go. Y'all, when I got into business, I actually had about $4,000 to my name and a prayer, truly, because I didn't have a lot of money to invest in attending things. I had it all into investing in my business. And so I can understand that you may be thinking, well, why did you attend this event? Why did you, or how did you pay $800 when you really didn't have the money to do so? And the answer is creativity, right? So I actually volunteered to be the Bold coaches, the person who was going to be leading that conversation for 7 weeks. I auditioned to be the Bold coaches, or I volunteered, I should say, to be the Bold coaches assistant. And in doing so, I actually was able to take that training course for free. So by volunteering my time, I was able to basically cut a deal to saying, hey, can I attend this $800 7-week training program for nothing? And I was able to do it. And really, if you're debating on how you're going to attend an event or how you're going to better yourself, the answer should be, well, if there's a will, there's a way. If you reach out to a vendor or reach out to someone who is supporting your business and you say, listen, I truly want to attend something like Successful Summit or something like Bold or something like a conference, and I need to better myself so that I can bring more business to you, the person who may be helping me, or to this organization, maybe your office. And in that conversation, right, in asking just for help, you can find the means to get to where you need to be around the people who can help you grow into the person that you already are. Go away. And I know there's actually more fears than just money. There's more fears to, is it worth it? Because we know that it is worth it, right? I think one of the biggest fears that people have when it comes to figuring out rooms that they want to be in to better themselves is simply that they feel like they don't know anyone, right? And that's kind of part of the reason that Queer and Successful exists is because I did not enjoy going into training rooms with people who I knew didn't share the same experiences as me. And so I knew in conversations and in masterminding around topics, I wouldn't have the same experience as others may. And so I totally understand the fear of not knowing anyone or feeling like if you go, you're going to be kind of like a little bit lonely or a little confused, or, maybe people are going to ostracize you. But that's exactly why Queer and Successful has created the spaces that it's created, because we believe that everyone deserves a place to be successful. And so, in Queer and Successful, both on our weekly calls, in our group coaching program for Certified Successful, for our in person events in Asheville, like Successful Summit, it is all about creating a safe space for you to thrive, for you to feel like you're not just meeting strangers, you're really just meeting family in a different setting. So I want you to flip these kind of fears around. And I want you to, instead of saying something's too expensive, I want you to ask, what is staying the same costing you? Instead of saying, I don't know anyone, say, well, that's the point. And if you're thinking it's not worth it, well, what if one conversation changes everything? And if the thought is, I'm still stuck, well, at least you're stuck in a better room than you were in before. At some point, you have to stop asking yourself, should I go? And change that conversation to, who do I need to become? People who grow put themselves in rooms and in spaces before they are ready. And y'all, if you know anything about me, I was not ready for the adventure that I put myself into. But sure enough, you will grow. It's almost like a goldfish, right? It's like we have to like take ourselves and put ourselves in different bowls, right? Different bowls that are a little bit bigger than us so that we have the room to grow in that. That confidence is going to become something that happens for you after the decision is made, not before. You can sit back all day and think about, well, what is it going to look like? And what is it going to look like? And how will I do this? And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but you will sit and wait forever. So make the decision to put yourself in front of the other people that are trying to be where you are, or trying to go to the places that you are, so that you can actually achieve more. And I would say that successful people aren't different. They just have learned to balance the difference between saying yes and saying no to the intentional things to say no to. Y'all, I am so guilty a little bit of saying yes way too much. And I think that can come off as something that seems a little, not calculated. I think that oftentimes you do have to balance out saying no to things, but saying yes to the right things. And when it comes to getting in front of people who can give you opportunity in the direction that you are trying to take yourself, you really shouldn't be saying no to that. Now, there are things that I've said yes to in the past that I should not have said yes to. Volunteer roles, different opportunities and different things. And maybe they were yeses for the moment and then they could be no's later. And that's also okay. Sometimes you have to take that risk and see if saying yes to that is what will actually bring you to where you're trying to go. And y'all, when I genuinely go back to the last 11 years of my career and I think about all the spaces that I've pushed for and I've worked to create, it really has stemmed from wanting to create a room that I wish I had had earlier. And I really think that you need to be thinking about what are the rooms that you need to be in, because again, every different room will change your life. Every different space will provide you some type of direction to go to. And I also understand that we go to conferences all the time and we learn all these things and we meet all these people and then we also learn nothing, right? And that's also why, like, when we're talking about things like Successful Summit, it's really good to go in there and have like the one thing that you're truly trying to take away from the event. And the way we've kind of formatted Summit, and I keep harking on this, but understanding that, like me understanding that that's how people usually go into these things. That's why part of Summit's objective is to really take segments and then ground them in workshops and ground them in the little mini masterminds that you'll have with your attendees. So we've really put a lot of thought into exactly how to make an experience like that something that will make it so you'll never want to miss it. And really, like, we're at this point, I think by the time this episode comes out, we'll be about 47 days away. And, it's just camaraderie. I mean, I look back and I look at my business now, my real estate business specifically, and I just think about all the opportunities that I've been given just from stepping into the room of that mastermind all those years ago. As I mentioned in our last episode, meeting Wendy Papazan at that event can truly just change the complete trajectory of my life as well. Sometimes just being around the people who see you makes all of the difference. And listen, y'all, if I was being in a vulnerable moment, sometimes I don't feel like everyone sees me. I don't feel like everyone sees my potential or, my heart or where I'm going or what I'm doing. And that's why these types of things, like getting around the people who I really know support me and really back me, is so important and truly grounding for me. It's been one of the greatest opportunities in my world to meet so many fantastic, brilliant minds and to utilize those connections to grow myself. Gary Keller, if you're a follower of GK, says you're the summary of the 5 people you surround yourself with, right? That's why those 4 things I mentioned earlier are so important, because I look at finding who those people are to fill up at least 4 of my 5, right? Because those are the 5 people, the 5 people you surround yourself with. You got to be intentional about that, because those are the people who are going to take you where you're looking to go or looking to grow. You need to have clarity on the things that you know that you don't know. And it's okay to admit you don't know them. Okay. It's okay to admit you're not perfect. And I'm saying that as a Virgo. All right. So, again, here's the true opportunity: be around people who are like minded like you, but have been to the places and have achieved the things that you have just not quite achieved yet. And remember, you already are who you intend to be. You're just at a different point in the destination. If there is a will, there is a way for you to achieve and to accomplish anything that you need to accomplish. But don't do it alone. Do not do it alone. And that is one of the most quintessential things that I can leave you all with today: is no one succeeds alone. Whether you are struggling to pick up a new piece of business or looking to venture out and achieve something new, the opportunity is meet someone who's going to take you towards that destination that you're thriving for. With that said, I know these are shorter episodes, and you're going to see some shorter episodes from me probably over the next few weeks, just because of everything we're doing with Successful Summit. But I wanted to come on here this week and just talk about truly the importance of being in rooms that will change your world. And y'all, listen, whenever you step into a room, just remember you are bigger than the room you are standing in. With that said, I love you all. Have an amazing rest of your day, and even better rest of your week. And I hope that I'll see you in Asheville for Successful Summit on May 4th and May 5th. You can find out more at queerandsuccessful.com. Bye, everyone.